It's time for the NFL Divisional Round. Let's talk a little football. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, who's ready for some more playoff football. That's right, it is divisional round time. I am jacked up. We got some good games. And just a quick heads up, this video is for just the 2 Saturday games where we're going to preview and give our best bets. And then we'll have another video coming out later for the Sunday game. So just want to point that out. Sometimes we separated game bets, player props. This weekend will be Saturday and Sunday. So before we get started, got to tell you about that beautiful app called OUTLIER. If you guys are not using it, you are missing out. I'll tell you that. It is the best betting research tool on the market today. I use this every single day. If you guys want to try it out, all you got to do is click the link below and try it for 7 days. That's all you got to do. You got nothing to lose. So I highly recommend if you want to be a profitable bettor long-term that you need tools like this one. So let's get it started, and that means it's dad joke time today. So here we go. What word becomes shorter when you add 2 letters to it? Short. That's all I got. All right, we're going to recap that Monday Night Football game, the 2 bets that we had there, and then we're going to preview and give our best bets for Houston and Kansas City, preview and give our best bets for Washington and Detroit, and then after that, I'm going to give you a couple other leans that I'm kind of thinking of and just kind of talk through with you guys, and then we'll finish it with the recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to continue to help this channel to grow. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Come join this awesome community, and also come join the Discord. Link is below in the description. Lots of smart people in there. We talk sports every single day and night. So let's get it started, and that means it's recap time. All right, here is the Monday Night Football recap. Just in general, Sam Darnold was horrendous. I'm so sorry, Vikings fans. That was just ugly. First bet, TJ Hawkinson over 44.5 receiving yards. He got the job done on a touchdown pass. And honestly, it was all him because Sam Darnold threw it at his back hip. He made a great catch and then ran it into the end zone. We cashed it. This second one, I'm mad at myself. Let's just be honest. It should have went over the 41.5, but I almost went with just the Rams money line plus money. I liked it, and then I got cute and safe and all the good stuff, and I lost. That's just how it was. But I did like the Rams in that game, and they put an absolute beat down on the Vikings. But either way, 1-1. There's the playoff record. It was just lost a little bit in the first round of the playoffs. So hopefully we can bounce back. That's 5-7, down 1.64 units. And then, as you guys know, as we've been doing every single week when we recap the season, overall season record 153 and 142, up 11.05. So that's the recap. And now it's time to talk the Texans and Chiefs. All right, we head out to Arrowhead, where the 2-time defending champs, the Chiefs, host the Houston Texans. Chiefs minus 8.5. Total in this one is 41.5. As always, let's preview the game before we give our best bets. So some quick trends. Chiefs under in 5 of the last 6 home games. Chiefs have won 11 straight home games. That's just straight up, though. 3-8 against the spread the last 11 games. It has not been pretty, but they are 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 playoff games. Obviously, we know they are a big game team. Chiefs 0-5 ATS as a 7+ point favorite this season. So any game they've been favored by a touchdown or more, they have lost against the spread. The Chiefs are obviously the big public favorite right now. These teams just met on December 21st, not long ago. The Chiefs won 27-19. Stroud threw for 244 and 2 interceptions. Mixon ran for 57 yards on 14 carries. Tank Dell had a big game, 98 yards, and then obviously a gruesome leg injury. He is not going to be playing. But either way, they were down 1 point in the third quarter when Dell got hurt, and then it was just kind of downhill from there. But total yards, 375 to 311, favor of the Chiefs. Pretty decently even game. Obviously, 2 interceptions does hurt. But injuries, the number 2 DB, Jalen Wilson for the Chiefs, looks like he will be back. Chiefs defense was a top 10 pass defense in the first 7 weeks when he was playing. Not saying it was all him, but just a big thing to have him back. And then the Texans tight end, Dalton Schultz, is questionable with a shoulder injury. Other than the main guys like Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Rashee Rice, all the guys we've known for a long time, it's decently healthy team. So the weather. That's right. Put the weather cap on. Light snow, 12-mile-an-hour winds, 27 degrees. I'm saying this on Wednesday night. Who knows what it's going to be by kickoff, but just want to point that out. Obviously, it's going to be cold. So, bet number 1. Let's get into it. I got 2 of them for this game. Xavier Worthy over 5.5 receptions at plus 152 on FanDuel. We are taking some big plus money. This is going to be a half unit play, and one reason I love it is because of that big plus money. I think this should be close to even money. I'm going to be honest with you. So obviously it doesn't mean it's going to win every time or it's a lock or anything. I just absolutely love the value with this one. So he stepped up lately, and let's talk about that into Outlier now and check out the numbers and everything we got going on. So here he is, Xavier Worthy, last 5 games. As you guys can see, and by the way, we're using the last 5 because the beginning of the season as a rookie, he wasn't used very well, and now he's used in a different way. He's over this in 3 of the last 4 games. You see that one game with 0? He didn't play. The starters didn't play. So I'm not just going to throw that out, but he had 6, 7, and 8 catches in those 3 games. That's 7, by the way, in the middle, was against the same Houston Texans team. Now let's scroll down and kind of look at some more numbers for him, and you can see some receptions and targets. How about that? Not bad, huh? 6, 11, 11, and 9 targets the last 4 games. That is a huge amount of targets for needing 6 catches at plus money. And he's also caught 70% of those targets, which is nice. And then if you just look at target share on the right side, there you go. You can see he's mid to high 20% target share the last 3 weeks as well. Now the matchup, you're going to see over there on the right, the Texans versus wide receivers. They're the 8th best in allowing receptions. It doesn't matter much to me because of how they use him. And again, he just had 7 catches versus Houston a few weeks ago. So let's dive into some more numbers now. Xavier Worthy numbers. In the first 11 weeks, his ADOT was 12.08. So that's the first 11 weeks of the season. ADOT means average depth of target. So they were running him deep. They was running some long routes, trying to use his speed. He had 580 total air yards. In the last 4 weeks he's played, not including week 18, his ADOT went from 12.08 to 5.13. He is being thrown the ball right around the line of scrimmage now. And obviously not great for yards, but for receptions, that's what you love to see. That's why a defense that's pretty good at allowing or not allowing receptions doesn't matter much to me, because this is not a guy making 15-yard routes trying to get open or anything like that. That is a huge difference. When your ADOT goes from 12 to 5, they decided, you know what, we're going to just give him the ball and let him use his speed and athleticism after that. So they've changed his role, and that's why you see his receptions going up and up and up with these short, quick passes, the screens, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I love the bet and why the matchup doesn't matter as much to me. So with that adjustment, I did think, that's why I mentioned earlier, if I could get words out, is over 5.5 should be around even money. He's been doing this consistently and all that. And also the Chiefs struggle to run the ball. And this is kind of what they do. Since they've been struggling, they just use these short passes as kind of an extension of the run. And you've seen it a lot. And that's why they end up passing the ball quite a bit, because they're not as successful. And obviously, when you have a receptions prop over, you don't want the run game to just absolutely dominate all game and run it 30 times. You want them to struggle just a little bit. So overall, you could play it safe. It's a little juicy at 4.5. But this huge plus money just kind of surprised me, and I got to take it. So for a half unit, my first best bet is Xavier Worthy over 5.5 receptions. Now, second bet, we're going to the other side. The quarterback, CJ Stroud, under 230.5 pass yards at minus 114 on FanDuel. It's another half unit. I don't know what it is about this game. I don't love it as much as the next one in regards to props. So I'm going to go half unit, but I was close to going a unit on the CJ Stroud one, just so you guys know. And the common theme here is, if you've heard me before, we took a Stroud under earlier this year. He was on the road. He was outdoors. So let's talk the overall season first for Stroud. He's gone under in 7 of 18 games, but some of those games were with a healthy wide receiver group. Obviously, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins. And then half of those games were at home in that cozy indoor stadium there. At home, he is averaging 252 yards per game. On the road, 190. It is a huge difference, guys. We've talked about it before. Now let's talk indoor-outdoor numbers. 66.9% completion percentage indoors, 58.3 outdoors, 91.1 QB rating, 81 outdoors. You can tell he just struggles. On the road, he is under in 5 of 9 games, like I said, averaging 190 yards per game. But let's talk about those 4 games he actually went over on the road. One was in Indy, and that was barely, by the way, 234. Indy's a bad defense, plus, guess what? Inside in a dome. And then one was in Dallas, inside versus a crappy defense in the Dallas Cowboys at that time. One was outdoors in Jacksonville, sunny, warm Jacksonville, versus the worst pass defense in the entire NFL. And then the last one was the Kansas City Chiefs, which is obviously this team, and that's what we're dealing with. But Dell had 100 yards. Dell is now out. And so the weather's even colder now. We're looking at under 30 degrees. Playoffs are obviously a different animal as well. Now the Chiefs get number 2 DB back. When you look at CJ Stroud going over, he barely goes over. I mean, his ceiling here is not very high. So that's why I absolutely love this. I thought this would be around 215 or so. So give me CJ Stroud under that 230.5 number. And just a quick bonus real quick. The time of possession, when you look at some of these games, some teams just have really long ones. Both teams are in the top 7 for time of possession. Means slow, methodical drives, which means some less possessions, which also could mean less chance for Stroud to get those big yards. We've seen the Chiefs have some really, really long drives all the way down the field. Now, the only worry here is, if the Texans are obviously getting blown out, or not blown out, but at least trying to catch up the entire game, and he's chucking it all over the field. But even then, I don't think he's going to be that successful. I think he throws at least a pick or two, and I just think it's going to be a tough matchup, especially with that number 2 DB coming back, a cold game outdoors in the playoffs is not exactly CJ Stroud's strong point. So give me CJ under 230.5 pass yards as that second best bet. And now let's move on to game number 2. This second one takes us out to Detroit, Michigan, where the Lions host the Washington Commanders. Lions minus 9.5. Total is 55.5. It's huge. Let's talk preview and trends real quick. Lions 14-5 against the spread in their last 19 games. Over is 4-1 in the Lions' last 5 games. Lions are 5-1 ATS in the last 6 games versus NFC East opponents. That's a big one. Under is 4-1 in the last 5 Commanders road games, and the Commanders are 4-2 ATS in the last 6 games. Now, these teams did not play this season, so we don't have any matchup there, but injuries. Welcome back, David Montgomery. That's huge. He somehow made it back after a knee injury. And so we'll talk about more about him later, but lots of injuries on the Lions defense, as we know. Anzalone did come back last game. He looks good to go for this one as well. Commander Zach Ertz questionable. Jamison Crowder, wide receiver, questionable. And linebacker Bobby Wagner is questionable. Lions at home scored the most points in the NFL, 35.3. They are very tough to stop. Commanders on the road, they've scored the 7th most points per game on the road, actually at 26 points. And then put that weather cap on it. It should be an amazing 68 to 70 degrees inside with some nice cool breeze from the AC. It's a dome, guys. I don't know what I'm saying. But either way, it's time for the best bets. Bet number 1, Jaden Daniels over 1.5 passing TDs at plus 116 on FanDuel. This can be a 1-unit play, so I'm surprised to see some plus money here. But let's talk Daniels the last 10 games. He's over this line in 7 of 10. And to be honest, it's really 7 of 9 because he did not play much in the last game of the season. 3+ passing TDs now in 3 of the last 5. He has 30+ passing attempts in 8 straight full games. And I say full games again because they only played 1/2 in that last game of the year. Passing attempts line this game, 34.5. It's there for a reason. The game script, as you guys saw, a huge total of 55.5. Expect a lot of scoring. Washington is going to struggle to stop the Lions, so the Commanders are going to have to pass the ball and play catch up, in my opinion, this one. Indoor, great environment for passing, obviously. But matchup-wise, Detroit allowed the 8th fewest passing touchdowns this year. But again, it doesn't matter because it's been different lately. And in fact, if you take away that Darnold horrendous game, which we saw in the playoffs, Darnold and that offensive line just have no clue what they're doing. The 4 games before that, they gave up 7 passing touchdowns in those 4 games before that Vikings game. So obviously it's because they're banged up. They're not the same. Even with Anzalone back, it doesn't make them all of a sudden a good pass defense because he's not a DB anyways. But Commanders offense, I think the combo of Daniels' arm and legs, they're going to be able to move the ball in this one. Well, they're going to have to. And I think Daniels is going to realize he has to run with the ball. And again, Daniels scrambling, over rush attempts, over rushing yards, also an option in this game with the Lions playing a lot of man-to-man defense and all that. But either way, they bring a lot of pressure. They're going to have to move the ball. It might be hard on the ground, just a standard, Brian Robinson carries and all that. But I do think they can move the ball here. And even if he just has 1 touchdown through 3 quarters, he could get a cheap passing touchdown in the 4th quarter as they catch up. The Lions play prevent defense, all that. So there's different ways about it. I don't think he's going to need garbage time. I think he can throw for 2 TDs, but that's going to be my first bet. Give me Daniels over 1.5 passing TDs. And then my second one in this one, the man who's coming back, David Montgomery over 14.5 receiving yards, minus 114 on FanDuel. This can be a 1-unit play. Maybe I'm getting a little overconfident here on this one, and it should be a half unit because the guy just coming back. But this guy was so good. He was a cash cow before the injury. So before the injury, Monty's over receiving yards. If you don't know, now you know. Over in 11 of 14 games this year. Over in 7 straight. Over in 6 of 8 home games. And also some more stats. He caught 96% of his targets. That's right. I know it's a running back. He should catch a higher percentage. 96% is pretty good. 3+ catches in 5 straight games and 6 of the last 7. If he gets 3+ catches, I mean, just 3 catches even, I think 15 yards should be pretty easy for him. So he's averaging 10.8 yards per reception. Matchup, this is why it's low. It's the worst matchup in the league if you just look at the numbers. Commanders are giving up the fewest receiving yards to the running back position. But again, I do think it's baked into the line. It's a little overcompensated the other way, I guess. The last 5 running backs versus Washington, let's talk about it. Rico Dowdle, 12 receiving yards. Not as good as Monty, obviously. Bijan Robinson, 3 receptions for 8 yards only. Good defense there, but again, Bijan Robinson has not been included in the passing game. 10 or less yards in 5 straight games. Saquon ran it 29 times. Pickett played quarterback. Nothing there. There's only like 3 guys in the Eagles that caught a pass. That was just a weird game. Alvin Kamara, a guy who does catch passes. 4 catches, 58 receiving yards, crushed it. Tony Pollard, 4 catches, 33 receiving yards. Lions are an explosive offense. I'm not too worried just because they're a good defense. They have a lot of other weapons to worry about. like everyone does who plays the Lions. So I think Monty over 14.5 receiving yards is a steal. I'm assuming he's going to play good. He's going to play a good amount of minutes. When you hear him talk, he said his knee feels better than even before the injury. So he wouldn't lie to me. I just know it. Me and Monty have that connection. So that's my second best bet. David Montgomery over 14.5 receiving yards, along with Jaden Daniels over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Hopefully we can get some winners. Those are both 1-unit plays. But before we wrap it up with the recap, let's go talk some leans. All right, let's talk a couple other leans before we get out of here. The first one, Texans +6 in the first half. They've been really good in the first half of games since the start of last year. 26-11 ATS in the first half, 14-4 ATS in the first half this year, which is incredible. They have scored the 8th most points per game in the first half at 12.9 and given up the 6th fewest points per game in the first half. KC is decent as well, but 6 is a lot of points in that first half. I don't trust DeMeco Ryans to outcoach and make adjustments at halftime over Andy Reid. And he hasn't made great adjustments at halftime anyways, but I'm going to take the Texans. I'm not going to take it. I'm going to think about taking the Texans +6 first half. Again, these are not official bets. These are leans right now, things that I'm thinking about. Second one, Commanders team total over 22.5. Like I said, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot here, like we talked about with Jaden Daniels. You could even get this in garbage time, but again, you have a total of 55.5, and we have a team total at 22.5. Under 23 is a key number as well. Lions defense, before that Vikings game that we all saw, they've been bad. And we saw what Sam Darnold and that Vikings team did after that. So I'm not going to just sit here and say I think the Lions defense is fixed. They're ready to go. They struggle with mobile quarterbacks due to a lot of man coverage, blitzing, things like that. I think it is a tougher matchup for them. I'm not saying the Commanders win or anything, but we just need 23 points in a dome with an athletic quarterback like Jaden Daniels. I think that might be a good lean as well. So Texans +6 first half, Commanders team total over 22.5. Just want to talk through some lines that way and not just player props for these two games. But hopefully that helps you guys out. But before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. There it is, the 4 best bets for Saturday. Xavier Worthy over 5.5 receptions, +152 for a half unit. CJ Stroud under 230.5 passing yards. That is a half unit play. It was almost a 1-unit play. Jaden Daniels over 1.5 passing TDs at +116 for a unit. And David Montgomery over 14.5 receiving yards, -114 for a unit. That's what we got. Again, late Thursday night, Friday morning will be the Sunday games video. So stay tuned for that. But thank you for watching all NFL season long. I appreciate it. If you haven't hit that like button already, please do so. But hope you guys enjoy some NFL playoff football, and we'll talk to you soon.